The vast emptiness of space surrounded the Lumiri observation post. Inside, Captain Wren stared at the blinking light on his console. His four-fingered hand trembled as he pressed the button to play the message again. "This is Colony Ship Bright Hope. We are under attack. Unknown vessels. Weapons beyond our defense capabilities. Please send help immediately. Coordinates follow." Wren's pale blue skin seemed to lose its glow as he turned to his second-in-command, Officer Tala. "The signal is from Sector 7. Our newest colony," Wren said quietly. "They are not prepared for combat." Tala nodded, her large eyes filled with worry. "The Council must be told. This is the third attack in 2 months." The Lumiri were known across the galaxy as peaceful explorers and traders. Their ships carried knowledge and goods, never weapons. For thousands of years, this had been enough. Until the Vex arrived. Hours later, Wren stood before the Lumiri High Council in a great crystal chamber on their homeworld. 7 elders sat in a half-circle, their faces showing the same fear that Wren felt. "The colony has no defense systems," Wren explained. "The settlers will not survive without immediate help." Elder Miv, the oldest of the council members, closed his eyes. "Our ships are not built for battle. Our people are not trained for war." "Then we must seek outside help," said Elder Cole, the youngest member. "We have allies." A heavy silence filled the room. Everyone knew which allies Cole meant. "The humans," Wren said finally. "You want to call the humans." "They are our only hope," Cole replied. Many in the room shifted uncomfortably. Humans were still new to galactic society. They came from a world that most species considered impossible to live on. A death world with high gravity, extreme weather, and dangerous life forms. Humans themselves were seen as unpredictable and potentially violent. But they had been kind to the Lumiri, and they knew how to fight. "Their world makes them strong," Elder Miv said. "What we see is terrible. They call home. What we fear, they face daily." The council voted quickly. With lives at stake, there was no time for their usual long debates. "Captain Wren, you will take our fastest ship to Earth," Elder Miv ordered. "Ask for their help, but be careful what you promise in return. The humans are good allies, but we know little about what drives them." 2 days later, Wren's ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Earth. The blue-green planet looked peaceful from space, hiding its true nature. As Wren prepared his message to Earth's leaders, he watched the orbital defenses tracking his ship. Human military vessels moved with purpose, their designs clearly built for combat. He had visited once before during the first diplomatic meetings, but the sight still made him nervous. "This is Captain Wren of the Lumiri Diplomatic Court," he began, sending his message toward Earth's main communication station. "I come seeking urgent assistance. Our colony is under attack by an aggressive species." He paused, then added words he never thought he would say. "We need your warriors. We need your weapons. The Lumiri formally request the protection of humanity." The response came faster than expected. A stern human face appeared on his screen. The man wore a uniform with many decorations. "This is Admiral Tom of Earth Defense Command," the human said. "We've received your distress call, Captain Wren. How bad is the situation?" Wren sent the data package showing the attack. "Our people are dying. We have no way to fight back." The Admiral's expression hardened as he viewed the information. "The Council will need to approve any military action. But I can tell you this. We don't abandon our friends." For the first time since receiving the distress call, Wren felt hope. He had just asked the most dangerous species he knew to go to war on behalf of his people. Admiral Tom stared at the screen long after Captain Wren's transmission ended. The images of the Lumiri colony under attack brought back memories of humanity's first steps into the wider galaxy 10 years earlier. He turned to his aide, Lieutenant Dave. "Call an emergency council meeting and get me the files on our first contact with the Lumiri." As the lieutenant hurried away, Admiral Tom looked out the window of his office at the vast shipyards orbiting Earth. Massive warships floated silently in space, a testament to humanity's deep-rooted instinct to prepare for threats. The aliens had been shocked by this when they first arrived. In the meeting room 2 hours later, Admiral Tom sat with 5 other military leaders and the President of the United Earth Government. The room was quiet as they watched footage from the historic First Contact Day. On the screen, a huge alien ship appeared over the plains of Africa. Humans watched from below, a mix of fear and wonder on their faces. The ship was beautiful, with flowing lines that seemed impossible for something so large. It belonged to the Galactic Council, a group of 23 alien species. They were so disappointed in us, General Blake said with a small laugh. They expected us to have overcome war centuries ago. Admiral Tom nodded. They classified Earth as a Class 12 death world, almost uninhabitable by their standards. The footage changed to show the alien representatives meeting human leaders. The aliens moved cautiously in Earth's gravity, many wearing special suits to protect them from what they considered harsh conditions. The Lumiri were the only ones who seemed truly interested in us, the President noted. The others just wanted to make sure we wouldn't be a threat. Admiral Tom pressed a button, and the screen showed another image. The Lumiri scientist, looking shocked as a human lifted a heavy piece of equipment that would have required 3 Lumiri to move. They think we're incredibly strong, Admiral Tom explained. Our world made us that way. High gravity, varied climates, predators throughout our evolution. What's normal for us is extreme for them. General Blake leaned forward. And now they need that strength. The President looked troubled. If we help the Lumiri, we risk making enemies of these Vex. We know almost nothing about them. We know they're attacking innocent colonists, Admiral Tom replied firmly. And the Lumiri are the only species that treated us like equals from the beginning. Lieutenant Dave entered the room with a data tablet. Sir, we've analyzed the attack footage. The Vex ships are heavily armed and appear to have technology similar to our own level. The room grew quiet as everyone considered what this meant. They're the first species we've encountered that seems as adapted to conflict as we are, Admiral Tom said finally. Perhaps they also come from a challenging world. The President stood and walked to the window. From here, they could see Earth below, blue and green and beautiful. For thousands of years, humans had fought each other. Now they were united, their weapons pointed outward, ready to defend their world from threats they had only imagined until now. The Lumiri showed us friendship when others showed fear, the President said. We can't abandon them. She turned to face the room. Admiral Tom, you have authorization to deploy the fleet, but be careful. This is our first military action beyond our solar system. Admiral Tom nodded. We'll send 10 warships initially. The Defender will lead as flagship. As the meeting ended, Admiral Tom remained behind, looking at the final image on the screen, a human and a Lumiri standing together, so different yet finding common ground. Lieutenant Dave approached him. Sir, do you think we're ready for this? Admiral Tom's face was serious. Humanity has been preparing for threats from space since we first looked up at the stars. The Lumiri thought we were paranoid. Now they need that paranoia to save them. Prepare the fleet, he ordered. We leave in 6 hours. The United Earth Defense Council chamber buzzed with tense voices. 12 men and women sat around a large round table, their faces serious under the harsh light. In the center of the table, a hologram showed the Lumiri colony and the attacking Vex ships. Admiral Tom stood at the head of the table, his uniform crisp and his voice steady. The Lumiri have formally requested our help. Their colony in Sector 7 is under heavy attack. General Maria, head of the Space Marines, leaned forward. How many ships are we talking about? The Lumiri report at least 15 Vex warships. Admiral Tom replied. Each one appears to be as advanced as our best vessels. A murmur ran through the room. Until now, most alien technology they had encountered was either equal to Earth's or focused on peaceful uses. The idea of facing an unknown enemy with comparable military tech was new. Council Member Parker, representing the civilian government, raised his hand. I understand the Lumiri are our friends, but this isn't our fight. We risk starting an interstellar war. With all due respect, Admiral Tom countered, the Lumiri helped us join the galactic community. They shared technology and knowledge when others wanted to keep us isolated. The debate continued for nearly an hour. Some council members worried about leaving Earth undefended. Others questioned whether humans should get involved in conflicts between alien species. The door opened, and Intelligence Officer Marcus entered. He was young for his position, but his eyes showed the sharp focus that had earned him respect. Officers, council members, Marcus said with a slight bow. I have important information about the Vex. He placed a data chip on the table. The hologram changed to show images of devastated worlds. These are planets the Vex have visited in the past 5 years, Marcus explained. Our Lumiri friends weren't the only targets. At least 6 other peaceful species have been attacked. The images were disturbing. Entire cities reduced to rubble. Ships torn apart in orbit. What do they want? Asked Council Member Bell, her voice barely hiding her horror. Marcus brought up another image, a captured Vex communication. Based on what we've decoded, the Vex don't just conquer. They consume. They strip planets of resources, including the inhabitants. The room fell silent. They're predators, General Maria said finally. And they've set their sights on the Lumiri. Admiral Tom nodded. If we don't stop them now, they'll eventually reach human space. Better to face them on our terms, with allies, than wait for them to come to us. Council Member Parker still looked uncertain. Even if we decide to help, what are you suggesting? A small strike force. Admiral Tom straightened his shoulders. No, I recommend deploying the full Earth Defense Fleet. Gasps filled the room. The full fleet had never left Earth's solar system before. All of it? General Maria asked, surprised. That's 30 warships and support vessels. The Vex need to understand what they're dealing with. Admiral Tom said firmly. Humans don't fight small when our friends are threatened. The council leader called for a vote. One by one, hands raised around the table. The decision was made. Very well, said the council leader. The Earth Defense Fleet will deploy to Lumiri space. God help us all if this goes wrong. As the meeting ended, Marcus approached Admiral Tom privately. Sir, there's something else you should know. The Vex communications suggest they've been watching us. They may have targeted the Lumiri to draw us out. Admiral Tom's face hardened. Then we'll give them exactly what they're asking for, but I don't think they'll like the result. He looked again at the hologram of the Lumiri colony. Prepare the fleet. We launch in 12 hours. The massive hangar of Earth's orbital military base was alive with activity. Soldiers rushed back and forth, loading supplies and checking equipment. The air smelled of metal and fuel as final preparations were made for humanity's first interstellar military mission. Captain Lena walked briskly through the chaos, her eyes taking in every detail. As commander of the flagship Thunderbolt, she carried the weight of the mission on her shoulders. The ship was the pride of Earth's fleet, a kilometer-long vessel with the most powerful weapons humans had ever built. Status report, she demanded as she reached the command platform where her officers waited. Lieutenant Roy, her second-in-command, handed her a datapad. All 30 ships report ready for departure, Captain. The last squad of Space Marines just boarded. Lena nodded and looked up at the massive view screen showing the assembled fleet. Each warship gleamed under the distant sun, their hulls marked with the Earth Defense Force emblem. 10 years ago, these ships didn't exist. Humanity had built them after learning they weren't alone in the universe. The Lumiri must be desperate to ask for our help, said Weapons Officer Ben, checking his systems. They've always seemed afraid of our military. With good reason, Medical Officer Anna replied. Remember, most galactic species evolved on worlds much safer than Earth. They never needed to develop the same fighting instincts we have. Captain Lena looked around at her crew. Most were young, trained for a war no one had expected would come so soon. This is what we prepared for, to protect Earth and our allies. The ship's communication system beeped. Admiral Tom's face appeared on the screen. Captain Lena, is the Thunderbolt ready? Yes, Admiral. All systems operational and crew at battle stations. The Admiral nodded. Good. I just finished speaking with the Lumiri captain. Their colony has lost contact with 2 outer settlements already. Time is running out. Lena felt a chill run down her spine. How many civilians are we talking about, sir? Over 8,000 Lumiri colonists, Admiral Tom said grimly. If the Vex are what our intelligence suggests, those people are in serious danger. After the Admiral's call ended, Lena addressed her crew through the ship-wide system. Her voice echoed through every corridor and room of the massive warship. Attention all personnel. In 1 hour, we will make the jump to Lumiri space. This is not a drill. This is not a training exercise. We are going to war. She paused, letting the words sink in. The Lumiri helped us when others wanted nothing to do with humans. Today, we return that friendship. The enemy we face calls themselves the Vex. They've attacked peaceful worlds before. They will find that attacking a friend of Earth is a mistake they won't survive to repeat. Throughout the ship, men and women listened silently. Some looked scared, others determined. All understood what was at stake. On the bridge, Officer Ben approached Captain Lena privately. Do you think we're ready for this? Fighting an alien enemy? Lena watched through the viewport as smaller ships moved into formation around the Thunderbolt. Humans have been preparing for alien threats since we first imagined them. Our movies, our books, our games, they all trained us mentally for this day, even before we knew aliens existed. A warning signal sounded, indicating final preparations for departure. Take your station, officer, Lena ordered. Let's show the galaxy what happens when you threaten a friend of humanity. The fleet moved away from Earth, 30 warships in perfect formation. As they reached the jump point, Captain Lena gave the order that would change the course of human history. All ships, activate FTL drives. Destination: Lumiri Colony, Sector 7. For Earth and our allies, jump. In a flash of brilliant light, the most powerful military force humanity had ever assembled vanished into the depths of space, racing toward humanity's first interstellar war. The Earth fleet erupted from faster-than-light travel into chaos. Captain Lena steadied herself as the view screen filled with images of battle. The Lumiri colony world hung in space, its blue-green surface marred by dark scorch marks visible even from orbit. Around it, dozens of alien vessels moved with predatory grace. Sensors, report, Lena commanded, her voice cutting through the stunned silence on the bridge. Officer Ben's fingers flew across his console. 27 Vex warships detected. They're attacking the main colony settlement. Lumiri defenses are almost completely destroyed. Life signs, Lena asked, dreading the answer. Communication Officer Dana looked up from her station. We're receiving transmissions from underground shelters. Many colonists are still alive, but they're running out of time. Lena made her decision instantly. Battle Formation Delta. All ships, power weapons but hold fire until my command. The 30 Earth vessels moved with practiced precision, spreading into a 3-dimensional attack pattern that Admiral Tom had designed specifically for engaging superior numbers. Open a channel to the Vex fleet, Lena ordered. The main screen flickered, then showed the bridge of an alien vessel. The being that appeared made several crew members gasp. The Vex commander had gray-scaled skin stretched tight over a skeletal face. 4 black eyes studied them with cold intelligence. This is Captain Lena of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are attacking a colony of our allies. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The Vex commander made a sound like stones grinding together. Humans, you are far from your world. These creatures are our prey. Leave now, and your deaths will come another day. Lena's face hardened. That's not how this works. The Lumiri are under Earth's protection. This is your final warning. The Vex commander's mouth stretched in what might have been a smile. We have studied your kind from afar. Violent primitives from a harsh world. But you are outnumbered here. Learn your place in the galaxy or be destroyed with these weaklings. The transmission cut off abruptly. Seconds later, alarm bells rang throughout the bridge. They're targeting a Lumiri evacuation ship, Ben shouted. Lena didn't hesitate. All ships, engage. Protect the evacuees. The space around the planet erupted with weapons fire. Earth's warships surged forward, surprising the Vex with their speed and coordination. The Thunderbolt led the charge, its main cannons firing with devastating precision. 2 Vex ships exploded under the assault. The others scattered, clearly surprised by the ferocity of the human attack. Establish communication with the colony, Lena ordered as her ship banked sharply to avoid enemy fire. The face of a Lumiri appeared on screen. His blue skin was smudged with dirt, and fear showed in his large eyes. This is Director Talon of Colony Haven. Are you really from Earth? We are, Lena confirmed. The Earth Defense Fleet is here to help. What's your situation? Most of our people are in the underground shelters, but we can't hold out much longer. The Vex have landed ground forces at the northern settlement. A massive impact rocked the Thunderbolt. Ben called out, direct hit to our starboard shields. They're holding at 78%. Lena turned back to the screen. Director Talon, prepare your people for evacuation. We'll clear a path and send down transport ships. As she spoke, 3 more Vex vessels moved to block the Thunderbolt. Their weapons charge, glowing with deadly energy. They're concentrating fire on us, Ben warned. Lena smiled grimly. They think taking out the biggest ship will scare us off. Show them how wrong they are. All weapons, fire. The Thunderbolt unleashed its full arsenal. The space between ships lit up like a small sun. When the light faded, 2 Vex ships were drifting, dead in space. Officer Dana looked up from her console, her eyes wide with surprise. Captain, the Vex are pulling back. They're regrouping at the far side of the planet. Lieutenant Roy frowned. That was too easy. Something's not right. Lena nodded, sharing his concern. The Vex had superior numbers. Why retreat so quickly? All ships, maintain battle positions. Begin evacuation procedures for the colonists. She turned to Dana. And get me Intelligence Officer Marcus. I want everything we have on Vex battle tactics. I think we just walked into something bigger than a simple colony raid. Intelligence Officer Marcus arrived on the Thunderbolt's bridge looking worried. The ship had moved to a defensive position around the Lumiri colony, while transport vessels rushed to evacuate civilians. On the main screen, the Vex fleet hovered just beyond weapons range. Captain Lena, Marcus said, handing her a datapad. I've been analyzing Vex communications we intercepted during the battle. What I found is concerning. Lena scanned the information, her expression darkening with each line. Are you certain about this? Yes, Captain. The Vex aren't just random raiders. They're hunters, and they've been doing this systematically across this sector for years. Lena called her senior officers together. Lieutenant Roy, Officers Ben and Donna, and Marcus gathered around the tactical display at the center of the bridge. According to our intelligence, Lena explained, pointing to a star map, the Vex have attacked and consumed at least 7 other peaceful species in this region of space. They don't just take resources, they harvest the inhabitants. Harvest? Donna asked, her face pale. You mean? They eat them, Marcus said bluntly. The Vex consider technologically peaceful species to be livestock. Easy prey. Ben slammed his fist on the console. That's why they targeted the Lumiri. They're peaceful, with minimal defenses. That's part of it, Marcus agreed. But there's more. He brought up a series of Vex communications. These messages suggest they've been watching Earth for some time. They know about us, about what humans are capable of. Royd frowned. They wanted us to come here. Why attack our allies if they know we might respond? To test us, Lena realized. The Lumiri colony was bait. They wanted to see how Earth would respond and assess our military capabilities. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. That's why they retreated so quickly, Dana said. They weren't really defeated. They got what they wanted. Information about our ships, our weapons, our tactics. Lena straightened her shoulders. Then we need to change the game. They think they're the hunters. Let's show them what it means to hunt a predator. She turned to the communication station. Contact Admiral Tom. The Vex are gathering reinforcements beyond the planet's moon. They're planning to trap our fleet here. While they waited for the connection, Marcus spoke quietly. Captain, there's one more thing. The Vex communications refer to humans specifically as the Deathworlders. They're afraid of us, or at least cautious. A thin smile crossed Lena's face. Good. They should be. Admiral Tom's face appeared on screen, his expression grim as Lena explained what they'd discovered. So we're facing an enemy that consumes other species, and they lured us here deliberately, the Admiral summarized. Recommendations, Captain. We need to split our forces, sir. Half the fleet continues the evacuation while the other half takes the fight to the Vex. If we wait, they'll bring in reinforcements. Admiral Tom thought for a moment, then nodded. Agreed. I'll take 15 ships and push into Vex territory. You continue the evacuation with the rest of the fleet. Sir, Lena said hesitantly, the Vex homeworld coordinates were in the data we intercepted. If we strike there directly. One step at a time, Captain, the Admiral interrupted. Let's deal with the immediate threat first, but keep those coordinates safe. We may need them soon. As the communication ended, an alarm sounded across the bridge. Officer Ben looked up from his station. Captain, 3 Vex ships are attempting to land forces at the secondary colony site. There are still hundreds of Lumiri civilians there. Lena's decision was immediate. Thunderbolt will intercept. Lieutenant Roy, you have the bridge. I'm leading the ground team myself. As she walked toward the shuttle bay, Lena thought about what Marcus had said. The Vex called humans Deathworlders, creatures from a planet so harsh that it bred natural killers. Time to show them what Deathworlders can really do, she murmured to herself. Admiral Tom stood on the bridge of his command ship, the Relentless, as it led 15 Earth warships directly toward the heart of the Vex fleet. The enemy had gathered their forces behind the moon of the Lumiri colony, just as intelligence officer Marcus had predicted. All ships, battle formation Alpha, Admiral Tom ordered. They expect us to stay defensive. Let's surprise them. The Earth vessels spread out in a wide, aggressive pattern. On the main screen, sensors showed 35 Vex warships moving to meet them. We're outnumbered more than 2 to 1, sir, his tactical officer warned. Admiral Tom nodded calmly. So were our ancestors when they fought on the plains of Earth against larger predators. Being outnumbered just means more targets. The first shots came from the Vex flagship, a massive vessel twice the size of the Relentless. Energy beams lashed out, but the Earth ships moved with unexpected speed, rolling and shifting to avoid the worst of the barrage. Return fire, all ships, Admiral Tom commanded. Target their engines and weapon systems. Earth's ships responded with devastating precision. Unlike the Vex, who fired in massive, wasteful bursts, the human vessels struck with surgical accuracy. 3 Vex ships lost power in the first minute of battle. On the Vex command ship, their leader watched with growing concern. The gray-scaled alien turned to his subordinate. These humans fight like nothing we've encountered before, the Vex commander said. No coordinated species should be this aggressive. His subordinate hissed. They come from a death world. They evolved as pack hunters. Their history is nothing but war. Then we will teach them the cost of challenging the Vex, the commander decided. Bring in the second fleet. Back on the Relentless, alarms blared as sensors detected 20 more Vex ships emerging from behind a nearby asteroid field. "Admiral, we're surrounded," the sensor officer called out. Instead of showing concern, Admiral Tom smiled. "Exactly as we planned. All ships, execute hammer and anvil." The Earth fleet suddenly split into 3 groups. As the Vex closed in, expecting to trap the humans, the Earth vessels executed a maneuver that seemed impossible for ships their size. 2 groups swung outward and then back in, catching 20 Vex ships in a crossfire. "Fire all weapons," Admiral Tom ordered. The space between the fleets lit up as Earth's most powerful weapons unleashed their fury. 7 Vex ships exploded instantly. 5 more drifted powerless. On the colony world below, Captain Lena led a team of Space Marines through the burning ruins of the secondary Lumiri settlement. They had landed minutes earlier to evacuate the colonists trapped by Vex ground forces. Team 1, secure the north entrance, Lena commanded through her helmet comm. Team 2 with me. The Vex ground troops were tall, armored beings that moved with frightening speed, but the human Marines were prepared. Their heavy weapons and power armor gave them advantages the Vex hadn't expected. As Lena's team reached the colony's central shelter, they found a group of Lumiri huddled inside, led by a thin, blue-skinned male. "The Deathworlders," he said with relief when he saw the humans. "You actually came." "We promised we would," Lena replied, helping the Lumiri to their feet. "Our shuttles are waiting. We need to move quickly." Above the planet, the space battle had reached its peak. The Vex commander watched in disbelief as his ships were systematically disabled or destroyed by the smaller human fleet. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "We studied their weapons. They shouldn't be this effective." His subordinate's voice was filled with fear. "Sir, we didn't account for their tactics. They're fighting like cornered predators, but with perfect coordination. It's their nature. They evolved to take down larger prey." The Vex commander made his decision. "Signal all ships. Retreat to Sector 12. We will regroup and return with the full armada." As the remaining Vex ships turned to flee, Admiral Tom ordered his fleet to let them go. "Sir," his tactical officer questioned, "we could pursue." "No," Admiral Tom said firmly. "Our mission was to save the Lumiri colonists, not start a full-scale war." "Not yet." Hours later, with the evacuation complete, Admiral Tom and Captain Lena met with Director Talon of the Lumiri colony. "You saved over 7,000 of our people," the Lumiri official said, his voice filled with emotion. "The Galactic Council needs to know what humans did here today." Admiral Tom nodded. "They need to know about the Vex threat too. This won't be their last attack." As the Earth fleet prepared to escort the Lumiri evacuation ships home, Admiral Tom stood at his viewport, looking at the stars. "The Vex wanted to see what humans are capable of," he said quietly to Captain Lena. "I think they learned their lesson." Lena wasn't so sure. "They'll be back, sir, with more ships." "I'm counting on it," Admiral Tom replied. "And next time, we'll be ready." Earth has found its place in the galaxy, protectors of those who can't protect themselves. Across the galaxy, news spread quickly. The peaceful species that had once feared the humans now looked to them with hope. The Deathworlders had become guardians. And in the darkness between stars, the Vex retreated, planning their next move against the only species that had ever defeated them, the dangerous creatures from Earth. The beeping started at 3:14 a.m. Earth Standard Time. At first, the night crew at Deep Space Listening Post 7 thought it was a system error. But when Lisa, the head technician, checked the signal twice, her eyes grew wide. "Sir, you need to see this," she called to her supervisor. "We're getting a message from outside our mapped space." The message repeated in a strange pattern. It wasn't random noise or cosmic radiation. It had structure, intent, and most importantly, it used the universal mathematics sequence that Earth had been broadcasting into space for decades as a potential communication method. Someone out there was calling for help. Within hours, the message was decoded enough to understand its basic meaning. A plea for help from a species calling themselves the Rathi. They were under attack by something they called the Void Dominion. The message included coordinates and what appeared to be visual recordings of massive ships with strange weapons destroying entire cities. Captain Jack Riley was eating breakfast when his comm unit buzzed with the highest priority code he had ever seen. "Riley here," he answered, putting down his coffee. "Captain, report to Fleet Command immediately. Full uniform. This is not a drill." When Riley arrived at command, he found the room buzzing with activity. Admiral Green, the normally calm head of Earth's Defense Force, looked tense as he motioned Riley to join the emergency meeting already in progress. "Ladies and gentlemen," the Admiral began, "what I'm about to show you is classified at the highest level. 6 hours ago, we confirmed first contact with an alien civilization." The room went silent. Decades of wondering if humanity was alone in the universe had just been answered. "They call themselves the Rathi," continued the Admiral as he showed images from the transmission. "The aliens were tall, slender beings with 4 arms and skin that seemed to shimmer like polished metal, and they're being hunted to extinction." The recording showed Rathi cities burning, their ships, beautiful but clearly not built for war, trying to escape while being shot down by black angular vessels. The Void Dominion, as they're called, appear to be systematically destroying Rathi colonies. The Rathi sent this message as a desperate plea to anyone who might help. Captain Riley studied the tactical displays. Their attackers have better weapons, but their movements are predictable. They attack in formations that haven't changed throughout the recording. "Exactly," said Admiral Green. "Which is why you're here, Riley. You're taking the Dauntless and Battle Group 7 to these coordinates." Riley blinked in surprise. "Sir, are we sure about this? First contact, and we're jumping into someone else's war." The Defense Council representative stood up. "We debated this all night, Captain. But the simple truth is, if we ignore this call for help, what does that say about humanity? We've spent centuries fighting our own wars. Maybe it's time we use what we've learned to protect others." The briefing continued with analysis of both alien species. The Rathi evolved on a low-gravity world with stable climate, explaining their tall, fragile builds. The Void Dominion appeared to be from a gas giant's moon with crushing gravity and toxic atmosphere. "And us?" asked Riley. "Where do humans fit in this picture?" The xenobiologist smiled grimly. "By their standards, Captain, we're from what they would call a death world. Earth's gravity, temperature swings, atmospheric composition, all would be considered extremely harsh by most life-supporting standards. We evolved as endurance predators who can survive conditions that would kill most species. We're the Deathworlders in this scenario." 3 days later, Captain Riley stood on the bridge of the UES Dauntless as a fleet of 20 Earth warships prepared to enter faster-than-light travel. His orders were simple: answer the call, protect the Rathi, and show the Void Dominion that they had just picked a fight with the wrong part of the galaxy. "All ships report ready, Captain," said his first officer. Riley nodded. "Then let's not keep them waiting. Fleet, engage jump drives." And with that command, humanity entered the galactic stage. The UES Dauntless exited faster-than-light travel with a flash of blue light, followed by the rest of Battle Group 7. Captain Riley felt the slight shudder through the deck plates as the massive warship returned to normal space. "Status report," Riley ordered, his eyes fixed on the main view screen. "All ships accounted for, Captain," First Officer Martinez replied. "We've arrived at the edge of what should be Rathi space, according to the coordinates." The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. This was the moment humanity had trained for, but never truly expected. First contact with an alien civilization. "Sensors detect multiple vessels ahead, sir," called out Lieutenant Wilson from the tactical station. "Most appear damaged. No immediate threats detected." Riley straightened his uniform. "Open a channel using the translation matrix we developed from their distress call." After a moment of static, the view screen flickered to life. The image showed a tall, willowy being with 4 slender arms and shimmering silver-blue skin. Its large eyes widened at the sight of humans. "This is Captain Jack Riley of the United Earth ship Dauntless. We received your distress call and have come to offer assistance." The alien seemed frozen in shock before finally speaking. The translation came through with a slight delay. "I am Ambassador Trell of the Rathi Collective. You actually came. We sent the message to many systems but expected no response." Riley noted the ambassador's surprise. "Why wouldn't we respond to a call for help?" Trell's 4 hands moved in what seemed like a gesture of disbelief. "Most spacefaring races would consider your species too dangerous to approach. Your evolutionary path is well known from your broadcasts. You come from what our scientists classify as a Class 4 death world." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Earth, a death world. To them, it was simply home. "Ambassador, we're here to help," Riley said firmly. "What's the current situation with the Void Dominion?" The view screen expanded to show more of the Rathi command center. Several damaged ships were visible through large windows behind Trell. Other Rathi moved hurriedly in the background, their movements graceful despite their panic. "The Dominion has attacked 23 of our colonies in the past 60 days, Trell explained. "They show no interest in communication. They simply appear, destroy, and move to the next target." Riley watched as Trell brought up visual records of the attacks. The Void Dominion ships were black, angular vessels that moved in perfect formations. Their tactics were brutal but predictable. Methodical destruction without wasted movement. "They believe themselves to be the apex species of the galaxy," Trell continued. "Their world has such high gravity and toxic atmosphere that few can survive it. Until now, no species has successfully fought back." Riley studied the tactical data. "Their formations never change. They don't adapt. They've never needed to," Trell replied simply. After the briefing, Riley gathered his officers. "We're splitting the fleet. Martinez, take half our ships to protect the Rathi refugee vessels. I'll lead the offensive units to engage the Dominion forces reported approaching the Rathi colony on Luma 4. As preparations began, Trell approached Riley privately. "Captain, I must ask, why would your people risk themselves for strangers?" Riley considered the question. "Where I come from, Ambassador, we have a saying. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. Your people asked for help. We answered." Trell's silver skin rippled with what Riley guessed was emotion. "In our long history, we've encountered many species. Most are either too peaceful to fight or too aggressive to ally with. You humans seem to be both." Riley smiled slightly. "That's a fair assessment. Let's hope the Dominion isn't prepared for what Deathworlders can do when provoked." Hours later, the human fleet split as planned. As Riley watched the defensive group escort the Rathi ships to safety, he turned his attention to the battle ahead. "All hands, prepare for combat operations," he ordered. "Let's show the Void Dominion they picked the wrong species to ignore." Lieutenant Tom Wilson checked his scout ship's systems one last time. Captain Riley had chosen him to lead the first reconnaissance mission into Dominion-controlled space, and Wilson was determined not to let him down. "Scout Team Alpha, sound off," Wilson called through the comm. "Scout 2, ready," came the reply from Lieutenant Park. "Scout 3, all systems go," added Lieutenant Ross. Wilson nodded to himself. "Remember the mission. Observe only. We need intel on their positions, not a firefight. Maintain radio silence, unless absolutely necessary." The 3 small, sleek scout ships moved silently through the darkness of space. Their stealth systems were some of Earth's most advanced technology, designed to hide from both visual detection and sensor scans. 2 hours into their mission, Wilson's scanner beeped softly. "Contact," he whispered, though no one could hear him. 3 Dominion patrol ships ahead. The Void Dominion vessels were exactly as the Rathi recordings had shown. Black, angular, and moving in perfect formation. Wilson watched them through his viewscreen, studying their movement patterns and scanning their energy signatures. "Predictable," he murmured, noting how the ships maintained exact distances from each other, turning at precisely the same moment, never breaking formation. It reminded him of insects rather than thinking beings with free will. Suddenly, one of the Dominion ships changed course, heading straight toward Scout 3. "Ross, they've spotted you," Wilson warned. "Evasive maneuvers." But it was too late. The Dominion ship fired a bright purple energy beam that clipped Scout 3's wing. Ross managed to dodge the worst of it, but his stealth system was damaged. "They've seen us now," Park said. "What's the plan, Lieutenant?" Wilson made a quick decision. "Offensive pattern Delta. Let's see how they handle something unexpected." The 3 human ships broke from their hiding positions and accelerated toward the Dominion patrol. Instead of flying in formation, each scout took a different angle and speed. Wilson's ship rolled and spun in a pattern that would make most alien pilots sick. The Dominion ships, facing an unexpected attack, maintained their rigid formation instead of adapting. They fired their energy weapons with devastating power, but poor aim. Wilson's scout shot past the lead Dominion vessel, firing precise hits at what appeared to be sensor arrays. Park took out the weapon system on another, while Ross, despite his damaged ship, disabled the engines on the third. "They're powerful but inflexible," Wilson reported back to the Dauntless once they were clear. "Their ships are advanced, but their tactics are fixed. They don't adapt when surprised." On the Dauntless, Admiral Ellen Reeves reviewed Wilson's combat data with Captain Riley. "Look at this," she pointed to the screen. "When faced with our irregular movements, they tried to maintain their formation instead of responding to the immediate threat. It's like they can't think outside their training." Riley nodded. "That gives us an advantage. Our greatest strength has always been adaptation." The fleet prepared for larger engagement. Engineers modified weapons based on the scout team's readings of Dominion shield frequencies. Tactical officers designed battle plans that would confuse the methodical enemy. 2 days later, they captured a damaged Dominion ship and its surviving pilot. The alien was massive, with thick gray skin that looked like armor. It stood nearly 7 feet tall with 4 eyes that blinked independently of each other. When questioned through a translator, the Dominion soldier revealed their species' belief system. "The strong dominate. The weak perish. This is the law of existence. You humans are from a lesser world. You cannot compete with those born in the crucible of true hardship." Riley looked at the alien with calm confidence. "You might be surprised what hardship Earth has prepared us for." As if to prove his point, a Dominion prisoner attempted to escape, attacking 2 guards with its natural strength. The guards, despite being smaller, quickly subdued the alien using combat techniques developed over centuries of human conflict. "Admiral," Riley said as they left the brig, "I think it's time we showed the Dominion what Deathworlders can really do." Red alert klaxons blared throughout the UES Dauntless. Captain Riley rushed to the bridge, where his crew worked with focused intensity. "Status report," he commanded. "Sir, massive Dominion fleet detected heading toward the Rathi homeworld." First Officer Martinez reported. "At least 30 capital ships with fighter escorts." Riley's jaw tightened. "How long until they reach the planet?" 4 hours, Captain." On the view screen, the Rathi ambassador Trull's face showed clear fear. "Captain Riley, most of our civilians haven't evacuated yet. If the Dominion reaches our homeworld—" "They won't," Riley promised. "Battle Group 7 will intercept them." Admiral Reeves joined Riley at the tactical display. "We're outnumbered 3-1, Jack." "Then we'll just have to be smarter," Riley replied. "What's the status of Engineer Cole's modifications?" "Complete, sir," Martins answered. "All ships have been equipped with the counter-scanning technology." Riley nodded. "Good. Now, what's unique about this sector of space that we can use to our advantage?" Lieutenant Wilson pointed to the display. "The Krell Nebula, sir. It's rich in radioactive particles that could mask our approach and disrupt their sensors. Perfect. Here's the plan. We'll use the nebula to hide half our fleet. The rest will engage the Dominion head-on, then appear to retreat. When they pursue, we spring the trap. 3 hours later, the human fleet faced the approaching Dominion armada. The black ships moved in their characteristic perfect formation, energy weapons charging. "They're scanning us, sir," reported Tactical Officer Garcia, detecting only the visible portion of our fleet. "Hold positions," Riley ordered. "Let them make the first move." The Dominion ships opened fire, their purple energy beams slicing through space. The human vessels responded with evasive maneuvers that would have made any Earth pilot sick. But the crews had trained for this. "Now," Riley commanded. The human ships fired, not at the Dominion vessels directly, but at the nebula between the fleets. The radioactive particles ignited, creating a blinding flash that temporarily disabled the Dominion's sensitive scanners. "Fleet execute pattern Omega," Riley ordered. The human ships split apart, each taking unpredictable vectors that broke every rule of conventional space combat. The Dominion forces, momentarily blinded and faced with chaos instead of order, faltered in their perfect formation. On the Rathi homeworld, civilians watching from evacuation centers gasped as they saw the human fleet deliberately flying into the Dominion's firing solutions, only to roll or dive away at the last possible second. It was a dance of calculated risk that no Rathi pilot would ever attempt. "They're breaking formation," Martins reported with satisfaction. "The trap is working." As predicted, the Dominion commander sent half his fleet in pursuit of what appeared to be retreating human ships. The moment they passed the nebula's edge, Riley gave the signal. "Ambush fleet, engage." The hidden human ships surged from the nebula, catching the Dominion vessels in a devastating crossfire. Engineer Marcus Cole's modifications paid off as the human weapons penetrated the previously impervious Dominion shields. The Dominion's communication system crackled to life on the dauntless bridge. A deep, gravelly voice spoke through the translator. "Human commander, you will surrender your vessels or face annihilation. Your primitive tactics cannot prevail against the Void Dominion." Riley smiled grimly. "You still don't understand what you're facing. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We survived by adapting, by taking risks, by thinking differently. Your rigid patterns might work against the Rathi, but against humans, you've already lost." He turned to his crew. "All ships, execute final gambit." The human fleet accelerated directly toward the Dominion command ship, weaving through enemy fire with impossible precision. 3 human vessels were hit, but the rest broke through, landing precision strikes on the command ship's key systems. As the massive Dominion vessel listed dead in space, the remaining enemy ships hesitated, their perfect formation finally shattered. The battle was far from over, but a crucial turning point had been reached. Humanity had shown the galaxy what Deathworlders could do. Commander Olivia West stood before her Special Operations team in the Dauntless's briefing room. The display behind her showed a massive Dominion command ship surrounded by escort vessels. "This is our target," she said, pointing to the command ship. "Intelligence suggests it's the nerve center for all Dominion operations in this sector. We take it out, we cripple their entire fleet." One of her team raised a hand. "Commander, with respect, that's a suicide mission. How do we even get close?" West smiled. "That's the beautiful part. They don't expect us to try." The plan was audacious. While the main human fleet engaged the Dominion forces in open battle, West's team would use a modified shuttle with Rathi stealth technology to slip past the enemy's defenses. "The Dominion thinks in rigid patterns," West explained. "They expect frontal assaults or strategic retreats. They don't expect a small team to infiltrate their command structure while they're focused on capital ships." Ambassador Trell had provided crucial intelligence on Dominion ship layouts and security protocols. The Rathi might not be warriors, but centuries of observation had given them extensive knowledge of their enemies. "Remember, West told her team as they prepared to board the stealth shuttle. The Dominion evolved in high gravity. They're stronger than us, but slower. Use your speed and adaptability. The main battle began exactly as planned. Captain Riley led the human fleet in an aggressive frontal assault that captured the Dominion's full attention. The black enemy ships responded with overwhelming firepower, maintaining their perfect formations. Meanwhile, Commander West's shuttle slipped between the massive warships, its modified stealth systems, making it virtually invisible to Dominion sensors. Approaching target, the pilot whispered, though there was no need for quiet in space. Docking in 30 seconds. The shuttle attached to a maintenance airlock on the Dominion command ship. West's team, dressed in specialized combat suits, moved silently through the dark corridors. The interior of the ship was oppressive. High gravity settings, dim red lighting, and air that smelled of sulfur. Motion sensors ahead, warned Lieutenant Reed, the team's tech specialist. Typical Dominion pattern, sweeping in regular intervals. 3, 2, 1. Now. The team rushed forward between sensor suites. Years of training in Earth's special forces made this kind of precision movement second nature. They reached the central control room with minimal resistance. Most of the Dominion crew was focused on the battle outside, never expecting enemies within their supposedly impenetrable vessel. Plant the devices, West ordered. Her team quickly attached small devices to key systems throughout the command center. Suddenly, an alarm blared. A massive Dominion soldier entered the room, immediately charging toward the nearest human. The alien's strength was incredible, but just as Trell had said, its movements were predictable. West ducked under the Dominion's swing and used its momentum against it, a basic judo move that sent the much larger alien crashing into a control panel. All devices placed, Reed reported. 30 seconds to activation. Fall back to extraction point, West commanded. The team fought their way back to the shuttle, using their superior speed and adaptability against the stronger but more rigid Dominion soldiers. Earth's higher gravity had made humans lighter on their feet in this environment. As the shuttle detached from the command ship, West activated the devices. They weren't explosives as the Dominion might have expected. Instead, they were specialized transmitters that hijacked the command ship's communication systems. Across the Dominion fleet, confusion spread as contradictory orders suddenly flooded their channels. Ships began to break formation, some retreating, others advancing without support. It worked, Martinez reported on the Dauntless Bridge. The Dominion fleet is losing cohesion. Captain Riley nodded with satisfaction. All ships, target their disorganized units. Don't let them regroup. The human fleet pressed their advantage, picking off isolated Dominion vessels. For the first time, the feared Void Dominion was in retreat. As West's shuttle docked with the Dauntless, Admiral Reeves met her team with approval. Excellent work, Commander. This is our first major victory. But not our last, West replied, removing her helmet. The Dominion is retreating to regroup. They'll be back, and next time they'll be ready for our tricks. Riley's voice came over the comm. Then we'll just have to come up with new ones. That's what humans do best. The war room of the UES Dauntless fell silent as the latest intelligence reports appeared on the main display. Admiral Reeves studied the tactical map with a grim expression. They've gathered their entire armada, she said quietly. Every ship the Dominion has in this sector. Nearly 100 vessels. Captain Riley stood beside her, his face betraying no fear. They're desperate. We've hurt them badly. For 3 weeks, the human fleet had won battle after battle against the Void Dominion. Each victory came through adaptive tactics that left the enemy confused and disorganized. But now the Dominion had changed their approach. Instead of sending smaller fleets that could be defeated piecemeal, they had massed their forces for one overwhelming strike. What's their target? Riley asked. Lieutenant Wilson pointed to a small planet on the display. The last major Rathi refugee center. 12 million civilians. They're done trying to conquer, Martinez observed. Now they just want revenge. Riley turned to Engineer Cole. It's time to deploy our reserve weapons. Are the Harbinger missiles ready? Cole nodded. Yes, sir. All ships have been equipped. But we've never used them in actual combat. The simulations were promising. But we have no choice, Riley interrupted. This will be the decisive battle. The human fleet positioned itself between the approaching Dominion Armada and the refugee world. Every ship was at full alert, crews at battle stations. This was the moment they had been holding back their most powerful weapons for. Ambassador Trull's image appeared on the Dauntless view screen. Captain Riley, the last evacuation ships will not clear the planet for 6 hours. You cannot hold against such numbers for so long. We don't need to win, Ambassador, Riley replied calmly. We just need to not lose until your people are safe. The Dominion fleet appeared on long-range sensors, moving in perfect, rigid formation as always. But this time, there was a difference. At the center of their fleet was a massive vessel unlike any they had encountered before. Sensors indicate that's their supreme command ship, Wilson reported. The Void Sovereign itself. Their leader is commanding this battle personally. Admiral Reeves smiled thinly. Good. Cut off the head, and the body falls. The Dominion opened communications. On screen appeared a massive alien with 6 eyes and thick gray armor-like skin. Gold markings covered its head, signifying its rank. Humans, the Dominion Supreme Commander growled through the translator. You have interfered in matters beyond your understanding. Your genetic line ends today. The Void Dominion has existed for 10,000 cycles. We have exterminated dozens of species. You will be no different. Riley stepped forward. We've heard this speech before. From our own history. From would-be conquerors who thought their power made them invincible. They were all wrong. He cut the transmission and turned to his crew. Battle Plan Echo. All ships, engage. The human fleet accelerated toward the Dominion Armada, apparently making a suicidal charge directly into their weapons range. The Dominion, expecting this predictable human bravery, opened fire with everything they had. At the last possible moment, the human ships split into 3 groups, executing maneuvers that strained both their hulls and their crews. The Dominion formation, so perfect and rigid, couldn't adjust quickly enough to track all targets. Now, Riley ordered, launch Harbingers. From every human ship flew dozens of small, fast missiles, not aimed at the Dominion vessels, but at the space between them. The missiles detonated, creating miniature gravity wells that distorted space itself. Dominion ships, caught in the fluctuating gravity fields, were pulled out of formation. Some collided with each other, while others found their weapons' fire curving away from intended targets. In the chaos, Admiral Reeves led a strike team of the fastest human vessels directly toward the Void Sovereign. The massive command ship fired desperately as the humans approached, but their evasive maneuvers were too unpredictable. We've proven something today, Riley said as he watched the battle unfold. It's not the strongest who survive. It's those most adaptable to change. The Dominion's perfect formation, their greatest strength, had become their downfall against an enemy who refused to fight by the expected rules. The last shots of the battle faded into silence. Captain Riley stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, surveying the aftermath displayed on the main view screen. The once mighty Dominion fleet lay scattered and broken. At the center of the destruction floated the massive Void Sovereign, its weapon systems disabled and its engines dark. Signal from the Dominion command ship, Captain, reported Lieutenant Wilson. They're surrendering. A murmur of disbelief ran through the bridge crew. The Void Dominion, which had terrorized this sector of space for centuries, was admitting defeat. Admiral Reeves joined Riley at the tactical display. Their entire command structure has collapsed. Without the Supreme Commander giving orders, their captains don't know what to do. Open a channel to all remaining Dominion vessels, Riley ordered. When the connection was established, Riley spoke clearly and firmly. This is Captain Jack Riley of the United Earth Fleet. Your forces are defeated. Your ships are damaged or destroyed. You will power down your weapons and withdraw from Rathi space immediately. Hours later, as the human fleet helped evacuate the last Rathi refugees, Ambassador Trell approached Riley in the Dauntless conference room. "My people owe you a debt we can never repay," Trell said, all four of his hands pressed together in a gesture of deep respect. "For generations, we believed we were doomed to extinction. No one would stand against the Dominion." Riley shook his head. "We did what any decent species would do." "No," Trell replied firmly. "Most species would not. Most are either too peaceful to fight or too warlike to care about others. Humans are unique. You have the capacity for terrible violence, yet you choose to use it only to protect." Over the next few weeks, human ships helped the Rathi begin rebuilding their damaged worlds. Engineer Cole taught Rathi technicians how to modify their peaceful vessels with defensive shields. Commander West trained volunteers in basic security operations. Word of humanity's victory spread quickly through nearby star systems. Ships from species the humans had never encountered appeared at the edge of Rathi space, requesting meetings. "They're curious about the Deathworlders who defeated the Dominion," Martins explained as another alien delegation requested permission to board. Admiral Reeves smiled. 6 weeks ago, they wouldn't come near us because we were too dangerous. Now they want our protection." On the final day before the Dauntless was scheduled to return to Earth, Captain Riley stood in a grand hall on the rebuilt Rathi capital. Representatives from 12 different alien species had gathered for the historic occasion. A tall, crystalline being who served as speaker for the Galactic Council stepped forward. "The Council regrets its decision to ignore the Rathi pleas for help. We did not understand the threat the Dominion posed to galactic peace. Or you didn't care until it threatened your own worlds," Riley thought, but kept diplomatic silence. "We formally invite Earth to join the Galactic Council," the speaker continued. "Your perspective would be valuable." Riley looked around the room at the assembled aliens. Some were physically imposing, others fragile. Some breathed methane, others crystallized silicon. All had evolved in environments vastly different from Earth's challenging conditions. "On behalf of Earth, I accept," Riley replied, "but with one condition. The Council must establish a mutual defense agreement. No peaceful species should face extinction simply because they evolved in a gentle environment." The Council representatives murmured among themselves before agreeing. As the meeting concluded, Ambassador Trell approached Riley one last time. "You've changed everything," Trell said. "Before, the galaxy feared Deathworlders. Now, they see you as protectors." Riley smiled. "Perhaps that's what Earth's hardships were preparing us for all along. Not conquest, but guardianship." As Riley boarded the shuttle to return to the Dauntless, he noticed representatives from 3 other threatened worlds waiting to speak with him. Earth's reputation had spread, and with it, hope for species who had lived in fear. The Deathworlders had been unleashed, not to conquer the galaxy, but to defend it.